That's right. We're back. Alexa, stop. It is Wednesday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. I don't have any good pranks for you. I got nothing. I just got some math, so I'm going to hit you with it. If you're watching this, that means you have now done 2 days of Fantastic Five. You knocked out Mondays. I am now going to go over what you did yesterday. I'm going to go over Tuesday's 5 questions. Hopefully you saw exactly what we talked about in the video yesterday. Hopefully whatever you had, you improved, whether it's from a 0 to a 1 or a 3 to a 5. Hopefully if you got a 5 yesterday, you got a 5 today. But we definitely don't want to be moving in the opposite direction. So again, if you're watching this video, you have already completed Tuesday's Fantastic Five, which is what we're going to take a look at right now. So you should have seen the similarities between the questions. Obviously, some different numbers. Obviously, it's worded differently, but the problem-solving process is pretty similar. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with number 1. Starting off with, Mrs. Reddick ordered 3,000 gummy bears from Amazon. Her daughters ate 148 of them on Monday and 1,533 of them on Tuesday, and then the rest on Wednesday. How many gummy bears did they eat on Wednesday? So again, if you're a visual person, you can see those 3,000 gummy bears in your head. You can eat or get rid of 148. Then you can get rid of 1,533 from Tuesday, subtraction again. And then you just know whatever's left, the rest of those got eaten the next day. So you could add both of those numbers together and then subtract. You could subtract them one at a time. I would probably add them together first and then subtract. So let's get our whiteboard pulled up here. All right, so we had 148 on the first day, and we had 1,533 the next day. So if we add those together, starting in the ones place, 8 plus 3 is 11. 1 stays, 1 goes. Moving to the tens place, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. Moving over to the hundreds place, we've got 5 plus 1. That's going to give you 6. Bring down the comma and bring down your 1. Now that gives you 1,681, which if we look at your answer choices, is one that's given. They give you that for D. Hopefully you're not choosing that, but that number is important because that represents what we've eaten already. So then I can take my total, 3,000 gummy bears. I can get rid of 1,681 of them. Go ahead and get rid of this. And same deal, go ahead and subtract. Starting in the ones place, you cannot do 0 minus 1. There's more on the floor, so you got to go next door and get 10 more. So again, when you go next door to the tens place, there's nobody home. So when there's nobody home, instead of going to that house, you're going to go all the way to the end of the neighborhood and box it off. So I just went from having 0 tens to now having 300 tens, but I still only need 1 of those. So if I took 1 10 away from 300, that's going to change it to 299. And that 10 that I took, I'll add to that 0 so I can subtract. And now the process is just the same as it always is. Starting in the ones place, 10 minus 1 is 9. Tens place, 9 minus 8 is 1. Hundreds place, 9 minus 6 is 3. And then bring down the comma. In the thousands place, you've got 2 minus 1. That would give you 1,319, which would give you the answer choice of C. Again, you could subtract those one at a time. That option's completely up to you. And you could also use addition to check your work. It's not, whatever you see here might be different than what you prefer. That's fine. If it works, it works. So that one would have been C. Again, subtracting across zeros, I like using that box method. All right, moving on to number 2. And I know Miss Reddick likes Amazon, so that's why I had to toss her in there. All right, number 2. Miss Coker ordered 46 cases of Red Bull. Each case has 18 cans inside. How many total cans of Red Bull does Miss Coker have? Those numbers are probably actually pretty accurate. So again, you've got the word each in there. Could lead you to multiply or divide. Well, 18 doesn't go into 46 evenly, and if you look at your answer choices, logically it would make sense to multiply here. Numbers are getting bigger, and really you can visualize 46 different cases, 18 cans in each. So we would stack those up. What is it, 48? No, 46 and 18. Times 18. And I'll show you that area model today, that box method some call it. Some of you may prefer this way. If I'm going to take 46 and split it by its values, I'd go 40 here and 6 here. And then if I was going to take 18 and split it by its values, I'd go 10 here and 8 here. And I always told my kids it's kind of like cars traveling in traffic. This 40 and this 6, they're traveling down. The 10 and the 8, they're traveling across. And wherever those cars would intersect, those are the two numbers you're going to multiply. So right here, I'd go 40 times 10. Right here, I'd go 40 times 8. Here, I'd go 6 times 10. Here, I'd go 6 times 8. Now, even though those numbers are a little bit bigger, if they end in 0, you're really only looking at the basic fact. You're looking at those two numbers. So here, I would really only look at 4 times 1, and I know that's 4. And then I would just add those two zeros on the back end. Same thing right below. I would do 4 times 8 and get 32. Add that 0 on the back end. Over here, you just know 10 times 6 gives you 60. And then right down there below that, you know 6 times 8 gives you 48. Some people right here like to add them one at a time. They like to add them all at once. They like to do 2 at a time. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing the math right. I usually don't like to do it all at once, even though if they end in zeros, it makes it a little bit easier. I usually go 2 at a time. So I'd start here and here. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 3 is 7. Come over to the side. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 4 is 10. Then I would take those two numbers, add them together. That gives me 828, which would give me the answer choice of, I believe it's C, 828. So a couple different ways you can do that one. I showed you a different way yesterday. You got to be careful with an answer choice possibly like B and D. They use the same, or B, I guess specifically uses the same numbers, looks different. And D is just an answer that's fairly close to that. Somebody would choose A if they added those two numbers together, which yes, total tells you to add, but that total is really wanting you to do repeated addition instead of just 46 plus 18, which again tells you to multiply. All right, that was 2. We are moving to 3. Charlie has 131 stuffed animals. He has to clean his room and organize them in groups of 9 in the drawers in his closet. How many drawers will be completely full? Again, guys, you cannot always rely on these keywords to tell you what to do. Because personally, when I see groups of, a lot of the times I would think that's going to tell me to multiply because it's like groups of, rows of, boxes of. So if I did 131 times 9, it's going to give me that answer choice of D. I would get 1,179. I used the word logic yesterday. I'm going to use it today and probably every other day this week. But guys, logically, you cannot have 1,179 full drawers when you only have 131 stuffed animals. It's impossible. So then I would scratch that out. I would see the rest of my answer choices are getting smaller and think if I'm getting equal groups of 9, that means I'm going to be dividing. So let me pull my whiteboard. Wrong button. And I'm going to do 131 divided by 9. Dangerous monkey, swipe bananas. All right. I know that 9 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 13 one time. Because 9 times 1 gets me as close as I can get. That gets me to 9. Then I'd have to subtract, and obviously I'd have to do a little bit of regrouping, but ultimately I'd be doing 13 minus 9, which is going to give me 4. Then I'm going to look to see if I've got anything to bring down, which I do. That 4 turns into a 41. I get to start all over. So back to my division. How many times can 9 go into 41? Trying to get as close as I possibly can. And I know that 9 can go into 41 4 times. Because when I do 9 times 4, that gives me 36. And to subtract those again, I'd have to do a little bit of regrouping. But ultimately, that's going to leave me with 5. Nothing left to bring down, so I'm finished. That's going to give me 14 remainder 5. And that word logic again, that's not an answer choice because you don't have 14 remainder 5 shelves in your closet or in your house. That is not something that makes sense. There's only 3 possible answer choices. And this is where I told you yesterday, if you do this right, you're going to get it. If you do this, you're going to get it right every time. It's either going to be 14 if you ignore the remainder, 5 if you use the remainder, or 15 if you push up. Now, I told you yesterday, when you see that word full, one thing you can always know is that number right there always represents your answer. So you could have stopped right there and had it. If it said how many would be left, it would have been the 5. That would have been your answer. I'm not guaranteeing that the next couple of days it's going to say full, because this question tomorrow might say how many boxes would I need, or how many shelves or drawers would I need total. But right now we're just looking for full. So it's either going to be 14 with 9 in each, 5 with 9 in each, or 15 with 9 in each. Excuse me. Now, logically, 5 doesn't make sense because it only fits 45 of his animals, and you've got way more than 45. So I would scratch that one pretty quick. So then it's down to 14 and 15. And again, I can check that by multiplying. 14 times 9, 15 times 9. I'm going to do the 15 times 9 first because I'll show you why it would be eliminated. 9 times 5 is going to give you 45. 5 stays, 4 goes. 9 times 1 gets you 9, plus 4 gets you 13. The reason why that cannot be your answer, Charlie's only got 131 toys. If he's got 15 full drawers, that's saying he's got 135, which he doesn't. So that would be eliminated. And if you ended up doing the math with 14 times 9, you would have 126, which is fine because that remainder 5 would make up the total of 131. So today that answer choice would have been B, 14. If the question asked how many shelves or how many drawers would he need total, then your answer would be 15. I'm telling you, you got to read that one carefully because it's going to change tomorrow. So for this one, you would have had B, 14. I'm thinking maybe that could possibly be the one tomorrow that we see the biggest difference in and possibly going down if you don't read. All right, next, number 4. It says, which of those is a multiple of 3 and a factor of 24? I'm going to show you the same thing I've been doing. I'm going to focus on the first part. I'm only going to talk or think about the multiples right now. And I don't have to list every multiple that I can think of. I'm just going to look at the answer choices and see how big the biggest number is, and I'm going to try to get to that. 18 is the biggest one, so I don't have to go that far. So we will do that. Starting with, of course, 3, then 6, then 9, 12, 15, 18. And I can stop right there. There's no point in going beyond that. Now, I think yesterday we were able to eliminate answer choices based off of that first part. Well, the answer choices were 6, 9, 15, and 18. All of those answer choices are multiples of 3, but only one of them is going to be a factor of 24, meaning you can take one of those numbers and multiply it times something to get 24. If you know your facts, you know you can take 6 times 4 and get 24, which is going to give you an answer of A. The reason it's not 9, think about your multiples. 9 times 1 is 9, times 2 is 18, times 3 is 27. That goes past 24. 15 times 1 is 15, 15 times 2 is 30. That goes beyond 24. Same thing for 18. 18 times 1 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36. That goes beyond. The only one of those numbers that's a multiple of 3 and a factor of 24 would be A. That one to me is one I think everybody should be getting right, just because of how hard we've been working on multiplication all year. If you don't know the vocabulary, that's one thing, but I think at this point we should probably be pretty good on that. Last question, number 5. It says, which of those choices is equal to 2,142? So hopefully you did work on this one. Like hopefully you could find a piece of paper where you had worked out A, B, C, and D. If you're just trying to eyeball this question, I guarantee you 99% of the people who did that missed it because they're going to choose the one that's using the numbers that look the same. You've got to write these out, and guys, it doesn't take you very long. So if I started with A, it says I have 2 thousands, 14 hundreds, and 2 tens. If I add those together, that gets me 3,420. A goes beyond, it's too much, gotta go. Then I would try B. It says I have 1,000. I've got 10 hundreds. I've got 3 tens. And I've got 12 ones. So I'm going to just kind of draw my numbers over here. 2, 4, 0, 2. Now that gets me pretty close, but I'm not looking for close. I'm trying to get to 2,142. So now I'm going to C. I've got 2 thousands. I've got 100. I've got 42 tens. Boom. Add those together. Zeros in the ones place, 2 in the tens, 5 in the hundreds, 2 in the thousands. Again, just like A, really like both of them. That got me pretty close. C is gone. In a similar situation to yesterday, even though you've eliminated 3 answers and you're stuck with the correct answer, you're going to check it anyways, just in case you made a mistake. I've got 2 thousands. I've got 14 tens. I've got 2 ones. If I add those together, 2 in the ones place, 4 in the tens place, 1 in the hundreds place, 2 in the thousands place. Just checking, it makes me feel a little bit better, but that would leave me with D as my answer choice for number 5. So look, if you're not doing work for that question and you want to get it right, do some work. It didn't take me long. It won't take you long either. All right, so those are your 5 from Tuesday. You are now about to take the 5 for Wednesday. And then again tomorrow on Thursday, I'll go over the 5 that you're about to do because, again, the only day that matters is Friday. If you can get to Friday and get a 5, mission accomplished. And honestly, if you're getting a 4, that's not a bad number either. Ultimately, wherever you started on Monday, you just need to be better on Friday, even if it's from a 1 to a 2. Make that your goal. Thank you guys for watching. Keep working hard. Watch it again if you need to, but we will see you tomorrow.